What happened to the other participants? Let's begin. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Happy to see that after the yap that the Yuva Veers wanted to have a satsang, and then we have started it last week with Upadesha Sara. And looking at the responses, I believe that about 25 of you have submitted your homeworks, and one of you has uploaded, and unless you go into deeper file settings, you would not know who has written it, who has uploaded it. So make sure that you in the file name, in your file name, write your name, so that it is easier for me to access whose it is. And keep it crisp. It's like I'm reading and reading and reading, and it is extending it. So keep it crisp, keep it clean, keep it precise. Now, I know Meeral said that she cannot attend last week, so hopefully she can attend now, because she will be jet lagged. But the rest of you who are, I am still searching for a method wherein everybody is accounted for. So my question to you is, how has been the samsara? Has it been good? Guruji used to call the samsara as the testing ground, and samsara is required so that we understand how much we have learnt and where can we apply and what has to be applied. Samsara is like the grinding stone against which you sharpen yourself. If you go blunt at it, at a wrong angle. That's called blunt angle. You will turn blunt. You will turn bitter. But the effort is to be better. Therefore, the angle of contact with this world is very important. How do you handle yourself? How do you handle the situations? And to keep us on track, satsanga, either you attend or you conduct. So, according to that, I am just hoping that all of you that I am aware of are conducting Balavihar classes, and pretty soon you will be starting with the Yuva Kendra classes, and this is one format wherein you will definitely receive satsang. And talking of the 5S, starting from sadhana, I am not just hoping, but more than strongly suggesting that do not give in. Create a schedule for yourself and make sure that you do twice a day of japa. I don't know the rest of them watching, but at least those who are here, are you doing it? Okay. So give a nod at least. And then the second thing is doing the swadhyaya. Every day study something scripturally and maintain your red, blue and black. Hopefully in few months time I have to refer to that as a book, as a journal that you write with blue. That's the aim. First 4 to 5 months or even 6 months to 7 months, it will be very disenchanting to face yourself. And that is a test that every sincere seeker has to pass through. Because if you do not know yourself, if you do not know where you have to work on yourself, what's the point of going through so much of satsanga? So, swadhyaya is a must. Seva and satsanga, I have already spoken. And the last one is swarupa nishtha. Take some time to sit with yourself. Not to be lonely with yourself, because if you cannot stand yourself and feel bored, who else can stand you? So, sit with yourself and spend some quiet moment. I am sure you are doing your everyday text messaging, saying what you will do as a sadhana for the day, but these 5 are a must. Just reminding you of them. Now getting into Upadesha Sara. Repeat after me. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam. Karturajñaya prapyate phalam. Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam. Phalama shashvatam gati nirodhakam. Gati nirodhakam. Ishwararpitam nechhaya kritam. Ishwararpitam nechhaya kritam. Chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Kartuhu agneya prapyate phalam. This we have seen, this shloka we have seen last week. just giving you the synopsis of it. It is with His will that we get the result. When and where is decided by the scheme of this nature's law, and that nature's law is decided by Him, the Lord. Karma kim param karma tajjadam. Is the action really all that supreme? Because it is nothing but jadam, inert. Why is it called jadam, inert? So it is given here. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam phalam ashashvatam gati nirodhakam. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam phalam ashashvatam gati nirodhakam. 4 words again to make one shloka, but a profound statement made. Kriti mahodadau. This world of actions can be divided into 2 parts. And what are these 2 parts? It is a polarity. Good actions leading to punya, bad actions leading to papa. And how many of these actions are there, and where do we have to swim from and where do we have to swim to? This is like an ocean. How many ever waves in the ocean, that many kinds of shades of actions are there. Kriti mahodadau. The path of action is like a ocean. Innumerous. There is no end to it. Now, what does that mean? Many a times in our own prioritization, what do? Satsang and being with oneself comes as the last priority. Being with God, doing japa, puja, dhyana, they are in the list. But what is the first thing that gets knocked out if you are pressed for time? All the sadhana gets knocked out. So there was somebody that yesterday I met in Shekhar Sen's Surdas. So I was meeting them after about 4 years. They were regular coming to satsang. So I asked them, what happened? Why don't I see you in the satsang? So her answer was, life happened. What do you mean life happened? So she says, anyway Swamiji, you are Swamiji, so you will not understand. I said, yes, I asked the same question. What? What do you mean by that? They said, ghar grihasti, home, children, responsibilities, various things, all these things put together, I finally decided that whenever he wills, satsang will happen. Because it was a very crowded place, I kept myself, on check. Otherwise, I would have immediately answered something. See, the difference between a sadhaka and somebody who is lost to samsara is that a sadhak is the one who does sadhana as his effort, and the samsara he leads in faith of that Bhagavan. Whereas who is a samsari? The one who does exactly opposite. The one who holds on to samsara as his effort and leaves the sadhana as his grace. That is the difference between somebody who is a sincere sadhak and somebody who is lost in this world. And the postponement is always that I will focus on the sadhana as a priority once all my responsibilities are done with. Is there a moment in life wherein we will say that all my responsibilities are done? So there was this Sethji, a businessman, a very successful one at that. So he was on his deathbed. Doctor had already pronounced that he does not have more than a few hours. So he said, "Chota beta kahan hai? Where is the youngest one?" So he said, "Papa ji, I am pressing your feet." And he says, "Majhla wala, the middle one, he has just gone to get your medicines from the doctor. He is downstairs, he will be coming up." The older one, he is just gone to pay your bills. So this old man who is about to quit this world in couple of hours, so he suddenly shouts, "If every one of you is here, who is taking care of the business?" This is how our mindsets are. We want to quit, we want to move forward, but the attachments are so strong that even on the deathbed, all that we think is not of Narayana, is of business. See, if a situation comes in life wherein your elders have to be told, why don't you go to satsang? Why? So that at least we young people at home have some peace of mind, at least for that few hours. If the world is wanting you to get out, before it asks us to, we should have the courage to quit way before, and we have to quit in the prime time. Therefore, those of you who got inspired and said, we want to do some Vedanta course or take a life of brahmacharya, you can still be leading a life of brahmacharya. You should be taking the Diksha and going through the Vedanta course. And my only advice is, first focus on reaching to a height wherein you have achieved something. Having achieved it, then call it quits. Then move forward. That when you look back at life, you would not have a single moment of regret later saying that, hey, I should have done that. In that zenith, quit on that high note. You look at Raja Bharata or Janaka or any of these kings, in the prime of their youth, when they had achieved maximum success, everything was going very smooth, seamless. It is at that time they call their children, divide their responsibilities, take permission from his wife, and then say, hey, I am done with it, I am leaving for Bhagavat Chintana. But do not prolong saying that I have lived my life, I have lived my children's life, now I am eagerly waiting for Pota Poti Nata Nati, my grandchildren. And then most of the Indian parents, they come to this country and they usually are called for babysitting, because the parents have to go work, the newborn has to be given care to, and then they feel such pangs of frustration, because they cannot go anywhere, they cannot leave anywhere, they cannot talk to anybody. They peep through the street, there is no activity on the street whole day. and then we get trapped. So, achieve that height and then call it quits. At that time you would be more experienced and you would be more rooted, and at that time to take that focus attention towards the spirituality, wherein the earlier part of this samsara doesn't create a itch at a later part. That clarity should dawn. If you keep postponing beyond that, you will be lost in this kriti mahodadau, ocean of doing. After that moment, we can only call ourselves as human doings. Where are we? Trapped in our own doings. Kriti mahodadau. Patana karanam. Patana karanam. As much as we would want to, try various things, is there an end to it? Can we call it that, having achieved this much, I can call it that I have achieved, my accomplishments are done. In the last 15 years or 10 years, 10 to 15 years. 15 years ago, if somebody was a lakpati, Indian usage, lakpati is somebody who is having properties worth lakhs and lakhs of rupees. That's sufficient. After that lakpati, what happened? Then it became, the standard became karodpati. This who wants to be a millionaire got remade into kaun banega karodpati. Baba, there is no end to that itch. Quit and on a high note get out before you become roadpati. Before the world pushes you to be nowhere, to be nothing. Kriti mahodadau patana karanam. We will be lost in the whirlpool of these constant doings. Because they are quite enticing. It's like a child in a candy store. I want to try this also, I want to try that also, I want to try that also. Have you ever gone to this gelato stores? Am I pronouncing it right? Gelato? Okay, fine. Whatever. So you go into that store and they have these small little spoons and you keep trying. And it's like almost 1.5 cup worth. You already eat only in these tastings. I want to try that one, and then can I have this one also? What is this? Let me try this also. World of doings are like that. Once the itch starts, it percolates. And the itch can be similar to what we call eczema. Any pre-med? What is an eczema? It's a skin irritation. What is the beauty of that? That it feels so good as long as you are scratching. The moment you stop, the pain of your own scratching starts hurting you. A very patana karanam. We will be lost in this world of doings. Another quick thing about patana karanam. Do you know many of your mothers, many of your the sevikas that had come, that had put effort during the yap, before the yap, When they saw all of you learning in your 20s, learning all these things, they always had a tear or two. You know what the tear was for? The tear was always about, wish we had the same opportunity when we were this age. And now that we are here, now we are trying to find the path and grounding, which is so impossible at that point. And sometimes it was also joy. Though we did not have the opportunity, at least we are glad that these students have the opportunity. Once you cross that exit, it is like you are driving in North Dakota or South Dakota. Once you miss the exit, the next exit is only for about 30-35 miles later, and then you have to come back another 30-35 miles. It is for such people I tell, better luck, next life. They don't like it. It is a bitter truth. Patana karanam. Phalam ashashvatam. And with so much of rigors of your effort that you put, what is the result? Ashashvatam phalam. And this is where we have to remember our young little star, Mr. Nachiketa. An 8-year-old, but what clarity in his head. That Yama himself says, to have one student like you, my life is kritartha. My life is accomplished. As much as we students are searching for a good teacher, the teacher is also on the lookout. When will I get that one amazing, exemplary student? And Yama got Nachiketa. He tests him out. And the mantra that the answer that he gives is something that has to be memorized. Shvo bhava martyasya yadanta kaitat sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha api sarvam jivitam alpameva tavaiva vahas tava nritya gite. So the enticement that he was given, that the first boon he got fulfilled. There was a subsidiary thing that he got really impressed by him and he gave one more. And the second boon that he asked was about his father. The third boon when he asked, Yama said, ask for something else. So Nachiketa turned his head away that, I am not asking anything. If you can, tell me that third one which I asked. As he turned, there were these apsarasas walking. So Yama thought, maybe, can I try something on him? Says, you will have, life worth so much that you will cherish 7 generations from now. After you, 7 generations, you will see all 7 generations. That much life I will promise. Not just yours, your children, their children and their children and their children. 7 generations will have such long life. Because sometimes to have long life and to see your own young ones die in front of you is the most painful thing. Once Gurudev went to somebody's house and a newborn. So said, the young one is born, please give some message, so that this one, when he grows up, he will understand what great Mahatma had come to bless. And Gurudev wrote a very strange message. He said, let grandfather die, let father die, let the child die, let his children die, let his grandchildren die. The host who had invited Gurudev looked at that message in tears and said, "We asked for a blessing, this is like a curse." Like everybody died. So Gurudev smiled and he said, "Look at it this way. Let first the grandfather live his full life and then he die. Until then, rest of them be alive. Then the one who is now the father, may he grow and may he see through and may he go in next order." Where somebody has such long life that his children are dying 100, his 150, his grandchildren are dying. It's such a painful, miserable, lonely life. They said, not just you, but your next generations will also have life. If so many generations are living with you, you don't have enough funds to support them. So you will have enough wealth to support these 7 generations and much more. You will have that many people working for you. I'll give you all these apsarasas, I'll give you all the maids, I'll give you all the people, servants, I'll give the all the amenities that is required. Now Nachiketa is like, folds his hand. Are you done? What did I ask you? I asked you for Brahma Vidya. Let me ask you again. Can you give me that Brahma Vidya or not? Because the things that you are promising, Shva Abhavaha, however long that you end up living, finally it will always feel short. When you look at a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, you would think that they have lived a complete life. When you are interacting with them, talk to them. They will talk about their being a teenager or being young in school or college as if it was yesterday. How much ever time that they have lived, it doesn't seem like fulfilling. Shva abhavaha, there is no tomorrow. Martyasya yadanta kaitat. Anything in this world, there is no promise of tomorrow. Is there any guarantee that there is tomorrow for us? Is there any guarantee there is next moment for us? It's a totally different issue. We waste a lot of moments in a lot of unnecessary things. But each moment is so valuable. There is no guarantee for next moment. Shva abhavaha martyasya yadanta kaitat. And with all this longevity that you are giving and my organs of perception, action, what will happen to them? As much as I indulge in them, it will deplete my energies that much more. And it will not remove the craving, but instead it will strengthen the craving. Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. How much ever life you want to give, api sarvam jivitam alpameva. All the life that you are promising is still limited. And then finally he says something very amazing. He says, Tavaiva vahas tava nritya gite. If you cannot give me Brahma Vidya, don't entice me with these things of your damsels and your what do you call them, nymphs and all these apsarasas and others. Keep them to yourself and you enjoy. And as for your third boon, keep it as my credit with yourself. I don't even care for it if you cannot give me that Brahma Vidya. This is Kriti Mahodadau Patana Karanam Phalam Ashashvatam. There is nothing wrong in enjoying that moment, provided you have complete awareness that this too shall pass. that there is no craving for repeating it. There is no holding on to it like a small kid sucking on a lollipop. That's the best, you don't need to watch any other Cartoon Network. In fact, life itself is a Cartoon Network with too many Tom and Jerry's around. And you look at that little kid, they'll have the wrapper, and for the longest time they'll keep holding it or watching it. Because if there is another candy or these chocolates or something, you unwrap them, you put it in your mouth, done. Can I have one more? No. This fellow knows now. Lollipop. And sometimes I like this, but we would like to prolong the indulgence in that particular vastu. Finally, one moment wherein they unwrap it. That's why these lollipops are such a hit with all the kids. Now you keep watching it and trying to prolong. However long you want to prolong, it is still a limited variable. Life comes, these things come and go. Enjoy them, but do not get trapped by them. Let them not linger to create a craving. See, sometimes the words that we use loses its potency. So I am not calling it a desire anymore, I am calling it as a craving. You are so restless that you want to have it and want to have it right now. Let it not take the grip of our life. Identify all those things, write a list down. What are the things that can create ripples of craving in you? Literally, I am asking you to write a list of all those things that have such intense liking that it has become a craving. Work one at a time to reach such a stature wherein its presence or absence does not matter. But to reach to that state, you will have to go through the discipline of giving them up first. Definitely being the sadhaka. Things like alcohol, smoking, drugs, meat, these are not something that have to be even considered in the list. They have to be stopped anyway, because they make you more and more tamasic. Don't we have enough tamas inside, enough lethargy, enough inertia? Now come to the various other things. If I look at my own life, there is still one thing that I should totally give up. You all know what it is. Spicy food. But on the flip side, the bhikshas are not in our hands. Seriously, I am not joking. So, the only thing is, when I have the freedom to cook myself, or I know the cook and I can tell, I say spicy. Otherwise, whatever comes onto the table, eat it as his prasad. It has to be vegetarian. But however the taste be, accept it as his prasada. No alterations. Sometimes it is just short of carbonizing. You can even smell the food of that little burnt thing. Kabhi aao yaar bhiksha pe. Come along with me. There was this guy in UT Arlington. He said, you have such a luxury life. I would want to shadow you for a while. I said, I'll allow you to shadow, provided you would come with every single meal and eat along with me. Whatever is given, no questions asked. Whether I like or not, unless you are allergic to it. By the end of third day, I said, I can't handle it. There's too much of variation in too little time, cannot handle it. I need my comfort food. I'm just giving one example. The kinds of clothes, the kind of appearance, the kind of various things that we do, what we do. Phalama shashvatam. Understand that they are all temporary. There is nothing wrong in enjoying them, provided you don't allow them, those materials, to start enjoying us. It almost becomes unbearable that I cannot exist without them. Things, beings, places, experiences, whatever, all those put together. Phalama shashvatam. And then gati nirodhakam. Gati nirodhakam. These become the impediments in our spiritual unfoldment. When will you start your sadhana? I'll start. Once Gurudev went to somebody's house, it was a palatial building in India. I've been to that house. And that palatial building, there was one particular room. It was almost like a mandir built in. Nice pillars, carving and everything. A nice beautiful deity. And controlled environment, AC room. So Gurudev was very impressed. You have made your house a temple. Have you started worshipping and meditating on this divine? So the owner said, I am waiting for deer skin. Waiting for deer skin for what? They said, in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Chailajina kushottaram. Ajina means the deer skin. So as soon as I get a deer skin, I will start meditating. This is how ridiculous our mindsets are, standards are. I will start my sadhana from next Monday onwards. I will start my sadhana after this last coffee. I will start my sadhana after this last purse. I had to say that. I will start my sadhana after, and I am done with this. It never is going to happen. Phalama shashvatam gati nirodhakam. And we are, we get spinned, spinned. We get spun. It doesn't sound right still, but anyway. So we keep going in constant cycles. So instead, how should this world of actions be taken? Running away, giving them up is not a choice either. You have to face them head on. But how should our attitude be when we face them? Because the first two shlokas talked about the problem. If you keep talking about the problem and don't talk about the solution and its applicability, what is the great beauty of understanding the problem in first place? So the problem is discussed. So what is the solution? The solution is in the next shloka. So what is the next shloka? We have already chanted it. Ishvararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Third shloka. Ishvararpitam na ichhaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Ishvararpitam. Perform these actions you must. But while you perform them not for yourself, not for anything or anybody, but instead perform them for the Lord. Dedicating every single action for that Lord alone. In fact, the intensity of devotion to the Lord should be so great. Intensity towards the Guru should be so great that even if it be taking another birth or few more births, oh Lord, make sure that I come back so that I have fulfillment in serving you and you alone. Ishwararpana bhava. Whatever you do, even if you sneeze, what should you say? Narayana. Then you can excuse yourself wherever you are. You eat. Before you eat food, you start with, are you all chanting 15th chapter? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva and then Brahmarpanam. Who taught you these shortcuts? I think first you learn the shortcuts and then learn the entire thing. Amazing. In the entire YUP course, I have never mentioned that there is this shortcut. You already picked the shortcut up. Keep a practice of chanting it at least one meal. It will not take more than 3 minutes. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Pranam. Just start with that. No. Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashvatham Prahurapiyam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Astam Vedasa Vedavit. Constantly put it in practice. With every morsel that you eat, instead of talking some rubbish, who scored how many points, what kind of stock, what kind of, who has brought the new necklace, who has brought the new earrings. Make a note, be pleasant. If you have to comment, say, it's good. Move forward. Move forward. Don't keep. That should not be the discussion running in your mind. So with every morsel, take the name of the Lord. You didn't like it. Rama, 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 Rama. Okay. Rama. It's good. Rama. Rama. Enjoy it. Every action that you do, before you do, start with the smarana of Bhagavan. Before you start driving, take the name of the Lord. Don't make a big scene out of it. That before you start driving, bring a coconut and then take the arati and then break the coconut, tie the 3 lemons and then tie the green chilies and lemon and tie it and then sit in the steering and then with the Ganesha or whatever you have, Sukh Garta, Dukh Garta, Darta, Vignachi, and all this for what? To drive from point A to point B. Don't kill the purposefulness here. Sit in the car, turn the ignition, start. You reach, Lord, thank you. You start a meeting. You may be itching after the yup course. Whenever you have the mic or when you say, Hari Om, you want to say or you want to start, do it inside. And some environments that I go when they will not understand what Hari Om is. I said Hari Om inside, and then good evening friends or good afternoon friends. Let's start. As soon as it is done, think of the Lord again. Constant mam anusmara yudhyacha. Constantly think of the Lord, take up every single challenge, let not the world demand or curtail you from being who you are. But take every challenge, work at it, let the Lord be your constant companion. Let every action done be done for Him, unto Him. And how should that dedication be? Anyway for God. Okay, do. Back in India, especially in the ashram when I was, until then I had no insight into it. Especially when we had Shivaratri back in our ashram. It's a beautiful temple, the best Lord Shiva that I have ever seen. Because even now when I think of Lord Shiva, it is that murti that comes into my mind. So handsome, so elegant, so beautiful. The next time you are in Bombay, should visit. It's amazing. The lights are all dimmed and just in that glowing, the lamps, you can see the Lord. And it almost feels like, He's sitting there. So there are about 100,000, 150,000 people visit that one day of Shivaratri, starting from early morning 4 o'clock till late night 12 o'clock. So each one of them brings in some kind of prasad, some kind of offering into the hundi, the collection. That's the worst job if you are in the ashram to get assigned to. The kind of currency that they will put in is such a tattered, shapeless pieces which nowhere else will be accepted. Therefore, come and throw it in the hundi. See, when you are offering it to the Lord, it should be the best that I can afford. And sometimes that's why here we have a rule that anything that you want to donate, you can donate only if it is a new thing. Once I had made an announcement that the new ashram facility is opening up, come on, with some material help that you can bring in. A lawnmower, which they themselves have not used for 3 years. It was probably lying in their house, brought and dumped. What do I do with it? A sofa that you have to tie a rope exactly where you sit, so that once you sink in, to get out you need to pull yourself. And the other sofa that was given, you can't even sit because the springs will prick you from the bottom. And then the people have audacity to come and ask, do we get a tax deductible form? Yeah, that is when something comes for the Lord, for the Guru, it has to be the cheapest one. It has to be the best of the best of the best. So, Ishwararpana Bhava, unto him our best. See, that is the slogan that Guruji gave for the 2015-2016 Gurudev Centennial celebration. The Gurudev has given us his best. So, how should our offering be? Unto him our best. Understand what is it that we can give ourselves the best, bring out the best, and then offer it at his feet. Ishwararpana Bhava. Now, the next level. Every being that you are related to, instead of looking at the limitations of the relationship, see it as an opportunity to find that divine that you adore. In that form, reach out and serve. Gurudev's Guru Bhai, he attained Mahasamadhi about 3 years ago, was Swami Chidanandaji of Shivananda Ashram. They both took sannyas at the same time, Gurudev and Swami Chidanandaji. Gurudev was an aggressive person, and Chidanandaji was, on the other hand, he was so docile. And if somebody had to understand what humility is, we have to be with him to understand. The first time he comes to see, to the ashram, and that is the day we got Diksha. Fresh, shining, heads, shaven, fresh, with long choti. New yellow robes, new names. We were about 27 of us who took Diksha. So Swami Chidanandaji comes, and he had to address us, and he was in tears. All 27 of us were standing on one side of the stage. So Chidanandaji had to go to the other side. Say we were standing on this side of the stage, he was sitting here along with Guruji and Brahmananji and Purushottamananji. So he had to get up and go that side to the stage. But instead he walked to this stage. He looked at each one of us with tears in his eyes. And then what he ended up doing was, still can't fathom that. He did a Sashtanga Dandavat Pranam to all 27 of us. I said, where will I get the opportunity to worship 27 Govindas in such bright enthusiasm? And I had various occasions to meet him in his Rishikesh ashram. So one day I was sitting, I had gone there. It was just after his nap time. He had just woken up, and he would eat fruits and nuts. And I sat down, and he was peeling, I don't know, a mango or I think a mango, no, must be an apple. So he was peeling the skin of the apple. Okay. And after having peeled it nicely, cut it into pieces, chunks of edible pieces, and then there was this badam soaked. He peeled each one of them. I offered some help. I said, and then I thought it was for him. He comes and puts that plate in my lap and says, "Khao." And then he, in his little feeble walk, he gets back to his chair muttering to himself, Atithi Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. And he goes and sits. And then he opens another apple and starts cutting it. That's for himself. Every interaction with every being should be with that attitude, that it is my Narayana that I am addressing. If we intensely follow this, will there be a scope for Irsha, Dvesha, Asuya? Okay, English. Jealousy, envy, passions, lust, greed. Will there be a scope for this? Because every being that you are interacting with is nothing but that divine in this form. Ishvara arpitam. Nechaya kritam. Nechaya kritam. Do it selflessly. Such selfless should be the work and attitude that you do your bit of service and people do not even know who has done it. Before they can recognize, patli gali se nikal jao. Patli gali se nikal jao is like, don't let in the world even know or be aware of your presence. But then that has been taken into a totally different standpoint. People want to be credited, and when you start crediting them, they say, "Iski kya zarurat hai? Oh, it's okay, it's okay." But inside it is like, more. Praise me more. If you have gone to Indian weddings back in India, wherein you all sit and they serve. Sometimes you like some things and they are all watching you, you have already had 2 rounds of it. So you say, for the rest of the crowd to see, no, 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 no. With your left hand you are blocking, saying no, no. With your right hand you are saying, insisting that, come on, no, no, no. That leads to hypocrisy. But instead, do your job. As soon as it is done, do not wait for the world to recognize. Because the way we have been conditioned in the capitalistic world, whether it is in East or West, capitalistic mindset, is that you have to promote yourself. At that time when you have to, job interviews or such things wherein you have to promote yourself, if that is what takes to get there, to give the best of the services, do it. Don't get confused at that moment. Do it, self-promotion. But you understand that it means nothing for you from inside. You getting the point? So you all come to the mission. Even all of you watching, you also go to the mission. Make a note of people that you see serving. Make a note of that few people without whose presence the activity would not be successful. But you would not even know of their presence. Try identify them. And see how seamless their existence is. You put them in any environment, they just blend in. They don't want a separate space for themselves. The royal me, treat me well. So when you observe these people, see such amazing things happening. They are experts in their field. In whatever little bit they do it with such finesse. Now by the time public comes around and everybody is, they are nowhere in the scene. Sometimes what happens, there are people who want to get that limelight. Sometimes it is the Balvihar kids who have to come and speak. They have to do some performance. But it is somebody else who hogs the light, spotlight. You do your bit and you slip through the side doors. Nechaya kritam. With these 2 attitudes, chitta shodhakam, the heart is purified thoroughly. Thus purified heart alone qualifies for meditative realm. In that meditation alone, Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam, being one with our own true nature. Can you imagine his amazing work? 3 shlokas, approximately 15 words, and the entire Karma Yoga Siddhanta has been explained in 15 words. What precision of expression. And the words are also so beautiful, easy. That reminds me, are you in touch with your Sanskrit? Ishwararpitam, Chitta Shodhakam, Mukti Sadhakam. What part of Sanskrit grammar are these 3 words? Whether it is second case, whether it is verb, whether it is noun, whether it... Don't tell me, write it in your homework. You thought you could escape by just telling me what it was right now. Unfair, right? What about them? So put it in your homework. Ishwararpitam, Chitta Shodhakam, Mukti Sadhakam. One simple question that can be asked, Na. What part of grammar is it? Nechchaya kritam na, ichchaya kritam na. It is called indeclinable. There is no masculine, feminine, neuter to this word. You remember that, right? So that indeclinable is this. So that you brush into your little Sanskrit as well and let me know what part of grammar is this. Any questions? Any questions from your comrades? The Shiva temple in Bombay ashram is Sandipani Sadhanalaya. That is where we all get trained. Any other questions? What? Oh, that was a joke. It is not a gender. It is an indeclinable. Okay. Let us conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.